Hey, everybody, I'm Jeff Straw. Welcome back to another episode of Producing Out Loud. Stoked to have you, but I'm more stoked to have this guy. Colin from McDSP, Colin McDowell, has agreed to join us today for an episode, so thanks, buddy. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to spend an hour or so together and talk through some of your products, talk through some of your history as a small business in this crazy audio industry of ours. I'm going to play a little guitar, we're going to listen to some stuff, we're going to have some fun. So it's a little bit different format than what we're used to here on Producing Out Loud, but I think it should be some fun. So welcome, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, when was the last time you were here at Pyramind?
Geesh, I think it's been a couple of years, and I'm sorry about that. Like a lot of programmers, I don't see the light of day very often. I am married and have children, but I see them too sometimes. But we've had a lot of work going on at McDSP recently. Some of the new products we're going to talk about, I had a little bit of a hand in, but there's just a lot going on. And really, I just wanted to take some time to go visit, some of the facilities that help, keep us on the map.
Awesome.
Here being one of them. And so I'm just glad to come and talk, and I hope I'm entertaining.
That's no doubt. You guys, so you were kind of lead coder for a long time of your products, and now you've kind of grown to the point where you're not touching the code base nearly as much.
True.
Accurate?
Yeah. I mean, I think, of the 24 or 20, anyway, of all the plugins McDSP has written, algorithmically, I did everything top to bottom except Revolver, the convolution reverb, the EC300 Echo collection, and then the 6050 Ultimate Channel Strip, some of the modules I'd made previously from the 6020 Ultimate EQ or the 6030 Ultimate Compressor. The rest of the engineering team put those modules together with a bunch of other ones to put them into the swappable, reconfigurable, what you get in the Ultimate Channel Strip plugin. So I sometimes will hand things off or give people good ideas that I know are kind of challenging and then walk away, which is really rewarding because it's like, I have this great idea and it's on you. And I can just leave and come back like a week later. Wow, good job, guys. And they're like, oh, Brad, that's a great idea. Can I go home now? Oh, yeah, sure. Take a break. Get some lunch.
They've been working for 3 days straight. Well, it's good to have a team you can rely on.
Yeah.
I think that goes without saying throughout the industry. Is like, as you're building your team, whether you're an artist or you're running a school or a software company, in the audio space, like choosing good, reliable team members is so critical, right?
Yeah.
Allows you to go off and do other CEO or founder kind of stuff that you need to get done.
Sometimes.
Like fun QuickBooks stuff, right? We were talking about earlier.
Yeah, be the accountant for a day.
It is still a business, right?
It still is. It's true, and I think it's like being in a band, right? There's no place to hide when you're on stage, and so if you're the weak link, at some point you're out.
Yeah.
Or when it's on you to sell the song or have the solo or really perpetuate the brand of the band. It's you. You got to be able to do it, and I think that we have a good crew at McDSP, and we just try to keep things going and keep the engine running smooth and keep cranking out new products.
Nice. Well, let's talk about the new products. So this EC300 delay collection, is that the official name?
Echo collection, I guess.
Sorry, Echo collection. My fault. Thus the E in the EC.
That's true.
Echo. Yes. Super fun plugin.
Yes.
And I've somewhat familiar with your suite. I'm not a hardcore user. I'm not gonna lie. But the first thing I noticed was, holy moly, this looks totally different from a UI perspective than any of your previous stuff. And we wanted to talk about it. Was that an intentional decision? Talk through the UI stuff first before we even dig in on what it does.
Sure. Well, I think that when you look at what a delay plugin is, there's a lot of UI potential there. There might be like a spinning tape, or there might be some metering, or scrolling dials. And also the way a lot of delays are packaged up, not like in a rack mount piece of gear, but in those Tolex covered boxes that might open up and go, look, there's tape inside. There were all kinds of things we could add, and we had worked with another graphic artist who was really good at the hyper real stuff, and he was also good at making the hyper real move. So it's one thing to have a static image that's very realistic, but to have a dynamic image that's moving around, has movable components. And he's really into it, and it is tedious, difficult work, but the engineering team and this guy worked together and they came up with something great. And so, I can take almost no credit for it, other than I think there were some lousy drawings from me about, make them like the Tolex boxes and probably put these controls up here, these ones in the middle, and that's not probably telling you very much, but good luck. And then I'd go off and do something else. So, which is, again, one of the things about my job I really do like is that there's many times these great ideas, I don't have time to make them, or I don't have time to like fully conceive them, and so we can pass it off to the rest of the engineers at the company, all of whom are very capable, and the marketing folks will chime in and stuff, and they can kind of churn on it, and it can kind of come out, and I can look at it. It's almost like like baking a cake without actually doing all the work. You just come back and go, that's a good cake.
It's like watching a cooking show, right? They whisk it all together, and then they pop out it's 35 minutes later.
Yeah, but I think,
just come in at the end for this product.
Yep.
Obviously not throughout the course of the company.
No, I mean, definitely I'll listen to it and stuff. When they wanted to have a dynamic section so you could actually duck the delay output or compress the delay output, those kind of types of things. And definitely like, okay, Colin, we want a compressor here. I'm like, oh yeah, you want to use this one, and these will be the range of the controls, and these will be approximately the values to the 10th of a millisecond that you want to use for the following models.
Approximately to the 10th of a second.
Okay, great, yeah, do that. And so I was like, oh, we can make this galore. No. This is going to be faster. No. This is going to be longer. No. This is where you want to be. All right, and then they put it in and go, well, I'll be dipped. It's exactly where we wanted to be. Thank you, and moving on.
Awesome.
And I think we also talked about in the digital one, which is like really is boring. Digital delay. You can add your modulation and some fidelity stuff, or your panning or ping pong things, and those are, and Matt, the engineer who did pretty much all of the delay plugin, he did a great job with all those features. But at some point when he was getting close to done, I knew kind of the DSP footprint of the magnetic one and how much the analog one was taking, but the digital one, is kind of light. It's just digital. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure you could take, I don't know, all the sims from Futzbox and put it inside the delay loop. And he's like, that sounds kind of cool. Yeah, wouldn't it be? Oh, by the way, of those 160 or so sims, those synthetic impulse models, a lot of them will probably feedback wildly. So be careful, and you have to filter them out. But he had a good time. So it was a couple of days in the office of some guy going, no, not that one. No, not that one. That'll work, and it's like, and then going through and keeping that. So that was something where we could add, the sound of like, I don't know, a fax machine or a walkie-talkie or earbuds into your delay loop, because otherwise, the digital delay wasn't doing a whole lot of interesting things from the character standpoint.
Right.
So, yeah, and again, that was definitely also another idea where I said, hey, this could be cool. Well, I gotta go, and then you take it off and let the people deal with it.
Well, and that leads me to this other question, which is I think a lot of software companies kind of made their bread and butter by emulating a specific piece of gear they license with the original manufacturer.
Yeah.
And here's the digital version of this thing you can't get anymore. It's wildly expensive.
Yeah.
Never the approach you guys have taken. But obviously you've had to have had some sort of how do we say, influence from real world devices, magnetic tape delays, things of that nature, right?
Definitely.
So you're not saying, we're knocking off that box, but did you guys listen to and have a bunch of stuff in the house?
Yeah, we definitely had a pretty, good collection,
What's that process like?
I guess everyone in the company generally has a decent musical background, so everyone has opinions, which is good. So I always liked, this one, or I always liked that one. I always liked, and okay, fine, let's bring one in, or let's get some tones. Let's see what that sounds like. They even have discussions about, why did you like this one? Oh, I like the way it worked on guitar for the following reasons. Oh, okay. And then maybe a little more analytically think about, so you like the way the mid-range was shaped, or how the high end, did this thing. And we sort of focus on those kind of things. So if we had a model that might have been based on something, we're not trying to nail it exactly, but we're trying to take, what made good tones out of that box and put them into our plugin.
Got it.
Over the 20 years, we've definitely amassed a lot of information about that ilk, and I think it's just try to sound good. And so sometimes you just got to look at the references and go, that sounded good. Why? Make it so. Okay.
And I'm just wondering how much of it is done by ear versus throwing it on an oscilloscope or waveform analysis and things like that, or is it a little bit of both?
It definitely both.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And definitely, there are things like early on, we just had our first product, which is Filter Bank. I'm like, it's just an EQ. And we kind of over-engineered it and made it work on the TDM hardware as well as run natively eventually. And there was some stuff, I'm like, that's just like a signal-to-noise ratio engineering thing we'll put in the algorithm. And you had clients come around and go, hey, I really like the way that low end sounds. I'm like, what? And I realized, wow, there are people out there who have ears that pick up on that kind of stuff. This is great, because that's a pretty obscure thing. That way we manage the low end signal-to-noise ratio for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, but the client's like, I love that. I love the low end on that. It's great. And I'm like, thank you for noticing. I love Pro Tools users. I love people who make music for a living that actually care what it sounds like. Yes, we can do this. Anyway, sorry.
That was your first product?
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was. Filter Bank was the first product. You probably wonder why we called it an EQ Filter Bank. It's because when we became a DigiDesign developer partner, almost 20 years ago. It was a big deal, and DigiDesign really wanted to sort of make sure which products were what. And they had an EQ or two already, like we're talking 2 EQ plugins total on the platform. That was enough. So I said, "What's the name of this plugin?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a plugin, and it's called Filter Bank. It's called Filter Bank. Filter Bank is the name of the plugin that we were making. It's a filter bank. The name is Filter Bank." And so if you're a nerdy person, a filter bank as a descriptive term implies like something that's capable of a variety of frequency responses, and say filter bank. So I just used that name in some meeting, and I was like, "Yeah, it's the Filter Bank plugin, the Filter Bank."
And it's
filter,
stuck.
and we're like, "Yeah, whatever," That's where it came from, and it worked. And even strangely, in that, to make sure that we complied with the Filter Bank name, we put in Filter Bank has it's actually 3 plugins. It's like sort of an EQ. It's a combination of high and low pass filters with shelving EQ and 2 bands of parametric. There's just a 6-band parametric, and then there's this other configuration that's just high and low pass filters. And the high and low pass filters are added in at the end, so that if a DigiDesign person came around the trade show, "Yep, here's the Filter Bank with the filters, new plugin, filters, yeah." But a lot of people, because all that signal to noise ratio stuff we put in there, which is primarily for the EQ stuff,
Right.
when you use that in a filtering algorithm, it was like, wow. So if someone has to super, like the high pass filter that's super resonant, like makes your bass go crazy,
Right.
Yeah, it sounded really good. Even I stood at the studio going, "Wow, but what are you doing? Just listen to that low end. I never would have thought it sounds great." And so, I don't know. I think that part of McDSP being around for a long time, I think, is it because customers actually cared what things sounded like, and they'd hear what they were looking for in our products, and they kept using them. So that was good stuff.
And you guys were obviously an early Avid partner, or Pro Tools partner. They
Yeah.
weren't Avid then. Right?
Yeah, they were still DigiDesign. Yep.
Talk to me a little bit about the other DAWs that have you've seen come to fruition and come rise in popularity. And do you guys have data around your user base and who's on what?
Yeah.
We're talking a little bit about Reason. We'll talk about them in a second.
Sure.
But some of these other big players, you guys clearly are usable throughout the DAW ecosystem.
Yeah. I mean, originally, to be fair, we were exclusive to Pro Tools.
For how long?
Probably for over a decade.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
Maybe even 13, 14 years. And I feel badly about that. I think one of the reasons that we did not branch out to other platforms had nothing to do with the validity of supporting these other platforms. They were great then, they're great now. It's that McDSP for a long time was like me and one other person.
Right.
And there was just no way that we could mitigate a lot of platform support along with new product. They just hire some more people. I'm like, well, software like music can be stolen. And so many times through the course of McDSP's early days especially, that we'd make great products that would at some point be pirated, and you're not making money. And so you could say, well, I could port this pirated product to some other platforms, or we could make something new and stay within the format that we know and understand very well.
Right.
And that's just kind of how the business pattern unfolded. But now I think with version 6, we finally support every platform, that if you've got AAX or AU or VST or VST3, and we support all those. Not only that, and it's another nerdy guy, which is me, the algorithms, that was another thing, is I didn't want to port, have the Pro Tools plugin sounds this way, the Cubase version sounds this way, the Logic version sounds that way.
Right.
So the code base is written such that there's it's the same file, it's the same code that is the algorithm, is shared by every platform. So if you go from Pro Tools to Logic to Cubase to wherever, the sound that you got on the one platform you get somewhere else.
Which is what you would expect as a user, but as a programmer, you know that takes some work.
Yeah, it takes some work, and sometimes it's not the case. So,
Right.
And that was years. What I just described it there, that was about 4 years of my life.
And we just covered it in about 13 seconds.
Yeah.
It makes you feel good about those 4 years, huh?
It does, but I mean, so yeah. So,
But it has to be done, right? It's groundwork. It has to be done.
And I think also that I didn't introducing your product to introducing your plugin line to a new format.
Mm-hmm.
There's. If you're the Pro Tools users love us. Okay, well, how about the people that are using Studio One or Reason or whatever? Their first impression is those first plugins that come along, and so you want to mitigate as many first impression problems as possible, which would include like, the sound quality is there. It's the same code,
Right.
And so anyway, yeah.
So Reason just launched their VST support, and you guys have had rack extensions. You said 6 or 7 rack extensions for quite a while.
Yep.
In their own little ecosystem that sell fairly well for you, apparently.
All right,
Without throwing out numbers. But and now they're opening the floodgates, so to speak.
They are.
So what do you think the impact will be for you guys in terms of, does that mean more business for you, less business for you with them? Or
I think it'll still probably mean more. I mean, I think there are people, the RE, rack extensions plugins that we made for Reason are kind of unique and on their own. So I think that'll still appeal to some people. And then people who want, like, in some ways, the rack extension plugins that we make, some of them are very much, teasers to the more complete product we have as an AU or a VST or an AX plugin. So by Reason 9.5, I think it's supporting VST. There'll be a lot of customers that come and go, oh, this could be cool. They've been Reason or Propellerheads has been providing us, some advanced betas, and we've been checking it out. I cannot confirm nor deny that all the issues have been sussed out, but we're definitely working on it. And software, and you think, oh, it's the same plugin format, it should work just fine. No, it just let it go. It's like your Wi-Fi. Why does my Wi-Fi work in the living room but not in the bedroom? I don't understand. The same thing. Why is my VST plugin working, Studio One but not in whatever? You're like,
Right.
You just gotta dig through and figure it out. It keeps us busy.
Well, that's good though. Let's talk a little bit about. It's funny because another sort of similarity between artists and developers is, how do you know when something's done? Like, I know for songwriters, it's sometimes a struggle to say, okay, this song is done or this production is done, and like, let's get it off to mastering. For you guys, could we stack one more knob in there, one more feature set? God, it would be cool if.
Yeah.
How do you know? Okay, this one's ready to ship.
Let's try. I think maybe I forget the quote exactly, but all creative endeavors are never completed; they are simply abandoned. That is, I think some famous painter said that. Anyway,
I kind of like that.
that is the truth of it. So whether you're you're doing an album with your band, or you're doing some sound design, or you're writing some plugins, there's a lot of things you can add. You try to give yourself a schedule, kind of give yourself a targeted set of features. Along the way, you might sneak in a few other ones because you realize how cool it's getting. You want to make it a little bit cooler. Nothing wrong with that. But at some point, there might be a few features that you're like, well, yes, we could do this, but we just try to. If we have the core set, established, maybe you have a small beta cycle, known from the, if all your beta sites are just not reporting bugs every day, but going, it sounds amazing, can I make some presets for you? Yeah, great, boom, knock yourself out. And not come back with, it crashes my DAW every 30 seconds. That would be an issue. That's not time to ship. Right. When most of the beta sites are going, oh, sounds great, man. What can I tell my friends? I'm going crazy. You're like, okay, and then you're getting closer.
Your beta users are an interesting bunch from the sound of the voices.
I think so. I think people who want to beta test software, in some ways, I feel, thank you very much. And in some ways, you're like, man, really careful what you wish for. You really want to test this thing out. Because it'll be, well, if I find some bugs, I tell you, right? Yes. But if you're the person who finds the bug that's really hard for us to recreate, we're going to be on you like a hawk on like a, wounded bird in the road. Ha! Make that bug happen again. Let's do it again. Do it. And that's how it works. Because you're like, oh, I found the bug, and you're like, okay, fine. Even customers in the field sometimes have these big sessions, and they go, hey, I made filter bank, break everything. Okay, I need a copy of the session. Well, you can have a copy of the session. Okay, look, send me a copy of the Pro Tools session without any audio in it. Right. That should be enough and sufficient to recreate this problem. Okay, you'll need 6 HCXL cards or whatever it would be. And we'd be like, all right. Hey, we gotta buy some more cards, and we get some more cards. You put it all in the system, and go, oh, there's the bug. So that's something about beta testing that I think sometimes people don't recognize is that, I can find bugs. I'm like, yeah, you can find bugs, but if you're the guy or gal who finds the bug that it's really hard for people to recreate, you better be on it, and you really better be like, what version of your OS, your DAW, what were you doing, what'd you have for breakfast, whatever it is that is needed to know to recreate the problem. And then when we think we fix it, we're like, did we fix it? Did we fix it? Did we fix it? Did we fix it? I'm asleep. I'm in Europe. We don't care. Wake up. Check it now. We're awake in the United States. That's what we're doing. And so, and I would say we're not really like that. But I think generally, people who are beta testing software, they are of that mind to accept that kind of responsibility. And also when you're like, I think I fixed it. Okay, I'll take it right now. And sometimes it's the other way. The beta tester gets it. We give them, a code update, and they test it at 3 o'clock in the morning our time, and they're calling the office. Hey, I just want to let you know, it's great, good job. Hang up. Like, thank you for that phone call. No one was here to take that call because it was 3 o'clock in the morning. We do have families.
Global business.
But so you're like, okay. So it's good all around. So I guess to answer your question, I think that when it's done. When people are going from like, I found a bug, or there's, I have an issue, to like, yeah, it sounds really good. Here's some presets. They're asking about some additional features or something that maybe work with an additional mode, but you find they're really asking about additional features, not asking about fix this problem.
Right.
And then you're kind of, okay, we should be good. And then, yeah.
How much, speaking of that, how much user input have you taken over the years to develop your next iteration of plugins?
Yeesh,
I mean, this one is a bit different than what you guys are known for.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that they're, well, in some ways, I would tell any user of McDSP stuff, sometimes say, you don't always do all the features we tell you to. That's true. We cannot do everything for everyone. However, like the look and feel of the EC300, many of our clients have always said, if I close my eyes and listen to your plugin, it sounds, as good as, some $3,000 piece of outboard gear. But, because like, I don't know, compressor bang, it still looks like compressor bang from like, the mid 2000s or earlier. Sometimes people can't buy into it. So you could do yourself a favor if you really up the ante in the user interface end of it and did something like the EC300, and that would really help people buy into it. That's not that I think the other plugins we have don't look good. I think they look great. They have lots of useful features and functionality. And some people, if we change something about the way the compressor bank worked, they would probably shoot us, or they would, kidnap, me and make me, put back this button you took out. I'm sorry. So definitely
some letters for feature requests, right?
All that. But I think that a lot of user feedback, I think, comes from a more general thing. People have always talked about, I want this, I want that. Or more generally get the vibe of, if it just like looked like super hyper real, so we thought with EC300 we'd try that out and see, and definitely there's been a good response.
Good.
But other things like the sims in the EC300, which are also the Sims synthetic impulse models from the Futzbox plugin.
Yep.
The graphic artist did the Futzbox plugin. He was really heavily advocating to have little pictures of every flippity-flippin' fax machine and earbud and whatever thing that we measured, and I was like, but he was really adamant about it at the beginning. And then so as we developed it, there was basically a little photography studio in our office. You're like, okay, the golden
you have some of those here, right?
Yeah,
are they different than they are on the original?
No, they're exactly from the original.
Here they are, right?
So, if we have let's pick on one. Yes, this phone is in our storage and somewhere in a box,
Nice.
and,
I think we still use those here.
Right, or I'm trying to pick up something that's fun. Yes, we have a digital baby monitor. Yes, we have our collection. I got a boom. Oh, there it is. This guy. The incredibly fragile brass, copper, something globe that's really a radio. It's kind of like not cheaply made, but probably not. There was no structural or mechanical engineer at that company. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna move it onto the plane. Take a picture. You turn it. No, don't turn it. Just move the paper underneath it. Okay, take a photo before it falls off the stand. What? Just take it now. And I'm sure like 2 seconds after we took that photo, that thing just rolled off the stand. But we have all that stuff. And again, that was something where the other graphic artist who did Futzbox advocated that, and he was totally on the money. It's like, we totally should have that because the Gold Globe. What's a Gold Globe radio?
Look,
and you see
it doesn't trick your ears, but it leads your ears a little bit into like, that. Is what we're going for. Yeah. And I think that, much like smell influences taste, I think what we see does influence our ears to a certain degree. And maybe it should or maybe it shouldn't. But it's nice knowing that, this connection to this thing, and I remember this thing, and that's going to give me this certain sound. Yeah.
I mean, like in the magnetic one, I'm not sure how the screen capture will show up, but right here, the tape moves around.
Right.
And like, okay, cool. And that's cool because why wouldn't it be cool? But also, there's that subtle hint of, hey, this is a model of a tape-based delay,
right.
So a lot of your high end is going to be lost. Bye, gone. Accept that now, and don't be trying to tell me I can't get the preset brighter on the magnetic echo mode. I'm like, because you shouldn't, because it's not going to. But it's degraded, it's lost, it's just destroyed. It's like tape. And so okay, or sometimes people just look at the UI, they don't read the tiny magnetic across the bottom. They kind of go, oh, I see a tape. Okay, this must be the tape delay. Yeah, thank you, genius. But then they keep using it. Like, right. They just somehow convey to them, this is the tape one. This is the digital one. This is the analog one. Oh, okay. And then, yeah.
Oh, and I love the way that the core settings from one to the other stay.
Yeah.
Right. So as you're auditioning, if you really want to just, hey, what does this sound completely different like on digital? You can easily flip that without messing with your entire setting bank to audition different modes, right?
It definitely. And that's also why we wanted to include we could have made it 3 separate plugins probably, but we said, let's put it all together into one. So for exactly what you said, I like this sound, but do I really need the tone of the magnetic? What if I could use a digital one and have some more freedom there with some more EQ bands or something else? Oh yeah, or no, what I think I want, I really am getting out of the magnetic model. Go back to that one and you're moving on.
Right.
I think that computers and music are great. Everyone can do many things, but it also, I think, raises the expectations up so high that let me give you my crappy mix and you can make it work like magic, right? And it's like, oh geez. So the time constraints put on whether you're the top tier professional or just graduated kind of student, you're like, gee, the time frame I have to get this done is very small. So yes, it's nice to be able to click between different delay types, or like on the other products we have, like the 6050 Ultimate channel chip, you can click through all 10 or 12 EQ and filter modes,
right?
Or compressor.
And that's really powerful, because then you're not just flipping between 3 that really have pretty distinct characters. Like on your compressors, you've got a lot of different stuff to audition. It's a subtle nuance, and you really want to A/B to get the tone you're looking for. We'll do that in a sec. Okay. Before we dig in on those, one more quick question. I mean, you guys just celebrated 20 years of business. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's like in dog years, but no, we're not.
Yeah, I know. We don't
Two things. One is, and I'm a new crystal ball question for you, but what was one of the most surprising things you saw kind of in this 20-year run that you guys have had?
Well, besides the fact that we survived,
I knew you were going to say that.
But I think what did I call it? The vicious loyalty of some of our customers.
Yeah.
Customers that would stop productions of big projects, not like movies or big budget albums, because it was suggested that a different product other than the McDSP product should be used. And they would be like our, without any prodding from us, be like our advocate or champion or whatever. And then we'd be like, we'd meet other people. Yeah, that guy that you probably never met, once he tried to kill me because I had suggested we use something besides Channel G in this scene in a movie. And my ribs still kind of hurt and I'm okay. Just want you to know, you got some customers out there, they like you. And it'd be like, wow. So I think that customers, any creative endeavor that has a creative goal, right? However you got there, the guitar, the amp, the studio you worked in, all those variables, well, somehow it all came together and worked. And so as a creative person, I don't really want to have too much variability in continuing my success. Mm-hmm. And so guitars, amps, studio, I would get that, right? This is my guitar, I'm going to off my dead body, you take this from me. You're like, yeah, I get that. But people about software products definitely have some of the same kinds of opinions, and I think that was really surprised that people would say that about anything. That's
awesome.
Much less something that McDSP did. But I'm very appreciative, and I think that's certainly a significant part of why McDSP is still around.
Brand advocates. It's a
Yes.
big deal, man.
Yeah. So thanks everybody.
Oh. And then what about who knows about tomorrow, right? We live in earthquake town, but like, where do you see the industry going here in the next 10, 20 years? Like, anything on the horizon you guys are looking towards that you're speculating about? Future. Talk to me.
We definitely are working on a few things that I really can't tell you about.
That's okay.
Mostly because it could be really cool, or they might not work. In which case, then I'm an idiot. So definitely just going to keep it on the down until, it works. We should probably leak that at some point. Yes, let's just make sure it works a little bit more. So we definitely are working on some newer things. Next year, I think people will start seeing, but more on the, on the types of plugins that we're making. It's like making Doritos. People are always asking for more features. I want Cool Ranch, but Cool Ranch with cilantro. I want Cool Ranch with hot and spicy pepper and or less cayenne pepper or something. But so to that end, asked about customer feedback. I'm like, well, any product that we've made, especially in the last decade, a lot of that's based on customer feedback. It's just back up all the way to we did filter bank and compressor bank, EQ and compression, kind of bread and butter stuff. And a little later on, somebody was pointing out, his name happened to be Gil Gowing, that's G&G, and he'd say, it'd be great if you guys had a channel strip that was kind of what you already did, but with some other channel strip features, some little more filtering, maybe some side chaining, and maybe an expander gate. I'm like, what should we call it? Channel G? Oh, that works for me. And Channel G is one of the plugins we made.
Nice.
Okay, fine. The AE600, which came out last year, It's an active equalizer. It's got like 6 bands of active and 6 bands of fixed, but it's based on the A400, which came out now 4 years ago, was nominated for a Tech Award, and it was great. But as soon as it came out with the active EQ, it was the first active equalizer on the whole Pro Tools platform, the only active equalizer you can actually run on the DSP chips, has no latency, But sure enough, all the customers are like, oh, it's got to have, and it just there's like pages of stuff, and it's not even in the A600 or the A800. We added went from just parametric active EQ to like 13 different types of active EQ, and
wow.
and the fixed and the it just if you look at a screenshot of the A600 and the A400, and it's just like, I should just bring it up here just for a moment if I may.
You certainly may.
Okay, and it's like the A400, you're kind of like, okay, I see. Yeah, you have, and why is the UI size this way? The UI size this way to fit the size constraints of like the Venue S3L like live sound console, because live sound people love active EQ. Bam, there you go. But then when people said, oh, I wish you had like the A600, like, yeah, sure. And it's like, oh, holy crap. And it's like, yeah, the screen's bigger. There's actually more graphs. There's actually, instead of like 4 active bands, there's 6 active bands with 6 fixed bands, and you can solo and just like, oh my God. I tell people, look at it, oh, what? How do we get started? Just watch the dots. Just, the band, orange is active, okay. White is fixed, okay, I get it, Can I hit play? Is that going to bust your ears off? No? Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. I think we'll do that. Oh, I'll work at that in a second. But you would just watch the meters. That's what I want you to do. You can like watch the meters and watch the little tiny little markers here. You can see when the signal is below the threshold, it engages the active EQ. And when it goes above, you can see like band 1 here, the white line starts to show you. It's very pretty, all that stuff. But anything, all those kinds of features, that's all customer feedback. The whole thing's customer feedback. In fact, even customer, what? Only 6 bands? Okay, fine. But right. So I think that when you ask me things of the future, just trying to, that's a very long-winded answer to your question. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Is that, yeah, there's ideas we have. They're kind of a little bit different, like the Echo Collection plugin, the EC300, and there are other ones like the A600, like where we took something that was already pretty successful and award nominated and stuff, and say, well, the customers wanted, here's the list,
here's the short list.
Let's try to parse this into like a top 5 or 7 or 10, and see what we can make out of it. So again, trying to always do things like that. And it's a lot of fun. Music business is a good time. It is a tough business to be in. Anybody that can last as long as you guys with your facility here, it's very impressive. It's been around as long as McDSP, I think.
Yep.
And in San Francisco, the real estate is totally cheap.
Yeah.
So hats off to you folks. But that I don't know that. But if you can make a living at it, and you go, people who are doing that, they recognize that, wow, I could be making like missile guidance systems. That's what I maybe used to do. I can't not confirm or deny that. But you could do that, or you could make things that make drums sound more in your face and louder for rock bands.
I'd go for drums every time, man.
Yeah. So I think that's something that we're just glad to be doing, and should keep doing as long as we can.
Awesome. Well, let's listen to some stuff.
Okay.
Hey, we're back. We're going to listen instead of just talking about audio plugins. I figured it would be fun for us to listen to some stuff. Oh, and I got a guitar. Thanks, Dad. Seriously, I buy all these guitars, and the one I play the most is the one Pops gave me.
Ditto.
Isn't that funny how that works? So we're running a semi-clean tone for now. We'll get into some chunky, dirty stuff in a minute, but I guess let's just walk through. You're running me through your 60/50 channel strip,
Yep.
Ultimate channel strip, not just any channel strip, the Ultimate. Talk to me a little bit about why this is Ultimate, because it's clear after you walking me through it off camera, but talk a little bit about it.
Sure. You basically have 28 modules, 10 equalizers, a couple of filters, 10 compressors, some expander gates, and some saturators. And you have any one of those in any one of the slots here. You can move the slots around if I want to have my EQ before my compression, or maybe I want to have 3 EQs, or whatever you're doing. It's all however you want to do it. There's a module select here on the left-hand side, so if you want to quickly fly through any module really quick, and say, okay, I just want to see the compressors and what we got. It's all that stuff. The saturators, anything. It's just really anything that you want, and it's all there. It tries to keep the settings, so if you go from EQ to EQ to EQ, it'll keep all the settings, so you can addition many EQ modules or compressor modules or whatnot very quickly. Order the arrangement of the modules in any order you want. It runs real time. runs on your host on your laptop, or runs on your fancy pants HDX rig. So it's cool.
How did you know I had a fancy pants HDX rig? You just guessed.
I just guessed. But, everyone wants one. I just never really have one.
Well, cool. I'll play a little. Why don't you cycle through some presets?
Okay.
Kind of get something that's feeling good for you for a semi-cleanish tone, and then we'll hop into the EC300 a little.
Okay, we'll do that.
So.
I think I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm just using a little bit of the saturation here to a little bit of dirt, but actually, I'm trying. This actually bypassed.
Say again.
I bypassed the saturation module. I was about to operate and say, listen to the saturation. Well, everybody, it was bypassed, but now it's not. So just leave that off for now.
Okay.
And how about we jump to some presets with the Echo collection.
Talk to me about what we just did.
Oh, so this is I think magnetic and analog delays are generally understood. Magnetic, it's using like magnetic tape to play the signal back over some period of time. With this tape, you get a signal loss in the high end predominantly, sort of like a muffled kind of tone or kind of a softer tone. Your analog delays, like your fixed delay line, you vary the rate at which the signal goes into the delay and the rate at which it comes out. It creates horrendous signal noise ratio problems, but it sounds cool for music production anyway, so we use it. The digital one, well, we thought it'd be kind of boring, but we thought it'd be cool if we added into it some of the SIMs, the synthetic impulse models, from the Futzbox plugin, which is a product that we made for post, really, if you want to sound like you're on a phone or in a car or whatever. And we did that stuff. And so if you want to sound like your delay is going through all kinds of different SIMs, basically, whether it's a digital baby monitor, or a fax machine.
Are you sending dry and delay through that, or is that an option?
Or
just through your mix?
The delay can be either just inside the delay loop itself, or it can be actually post loop. So
Okay.
you can get sort of best of both worlds. Or however you look at that. And you can synchronize the delay times to the session tempo, or have it operate independently from session tempo.
Okay.
Modulation of some amount is available in each magnetic, digital, and analog type. There's even a dynamic section, so you can actually duck the delay output as the dry signal comes in, or you can just compress the overall delay output.
Is that across the board, or is that just on the digital piece?
On all of them. So
Okay.
they all have like a different flavor of some kind of dynamic section compressor with
Gotcha.
generally the same functionality, but with some adjustments by yours truly to make it sound appropriate for the era of the box that you were doing. But again, this is mostly a guy named Matt Stabile who did all this work. And the rest of us just gave him ideas and would run away. Hey, this would be a cool idea. I'm over here. How'd that idea turn out? So, like you said, kind of like a cooking show. You're just watching it. But yeah, and not just for guitar, but like all our plugins, we were just going through all the guitar presets. But there's presets from famous folks. You know, we got stuff for bass, dialogue, drums, guitar, acoustic guitar, keys, crazy special effects. I don't recommend, at least with headphones on, in case it feeds back like something. And then, you know, a bunch of vocal stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, and so it was a ton of fun. It turned out really well, and yeah, just happy that people, you know, care what their delays sound like, and we can sell lots of them.
That's the idea, right?
That's the idea. The approximate business plan.
Throw on, I don't know. You've got some other stuff tracked here. You've got some drums. You've got some vocals.
Oh, sure.
Like let's hear it along with, like maybe over a drum track and what you would do.
Oh, just with like this, with a drum track with a delay, or just drum track with
Maybe through your 6050 or.
Whew. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see how fast Colin can drive Pro Tools.
That's all right.
Everyone, get ready to cringe. All right, here we go.
Colin, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, man. Thanks for the walkthrough on the EC300 as well as your 6050. We're going to take you down the street, introduce you to a couple of our Pro Tools classes. New students here in the house for their new semester, so we like to bring manufacturers, producers, stuff like that through, let them hear the horns, the horn section, street horns. What are you going to do?
City.
We're in a city. Anyways, seriously, thanks so much for being here. For those of you out there, if you ever want to get a hold of us, it's producingoutloud@pyramind.com. Send us in your thoughts, questions, suggestions. We'd love to hear from you. You can also leave, obviously, comments here on the YouTube videos. Any final thoughts from you, my friend?
Nope, just thanks for having me, and carry on.
You heard it here first. Carry on.
If you're a music producer, subscribe to our channel and stay up to date on the latest Pyramind tutorial videos, track breakdowns, elite sessions, and more. Visit us at pyramind.com.